Hello, everybody. Welcome to another little chat with the paranormal, or no, hang on, the Essex UFO and Paranormal group. I always get it around the wrong way for some strange reason. I don't know why. But and we've got David Hobbs again back to have another little chat because we did mention a couple of times about having a little chat about UFOs on previous little chats we've had. Um, so, David Hobbs, hello, welcome back.
Hello, David. Are you well? Are you good?
Good. You're well, are you? Now,
Yeah.
so as far as UFOs go, you told me before you don't know too much about them, but have you had any experiences that you think you might, or you think you might have had a UFO experience at all?
Oh, yeah. I have had a UFO. I've had a few. Yeah. Well, I mean, if we want to go back in history, back in time, so I want to say, I don't know, about
What,
nine.
Roswell?
It was about 9 or 10. I lived in Leighton in a road called Vicarage Road, and had some friends down the road. A guy called John, and we used to play out at night as kids did in those days. We were in the
Hmm.
streets at 10 o'clock, you know. And anyway, we were messing about one evening, and it was sort of dark, and I happened to look up at the sky. So we're talking, let me see, 10, we're talking 68, nearly 70 years ago. So it was a while back. And I could see these two white lights, one there, let's say. And there was a red light traveling from that one, back to that one,
That's interesting.
to
Yeah.
that one, back to that one. And we watched it for quite a while, you know, but as kids didn't think much of it. Oh, look at
Hmm.
that.
It's a bit
Unusual.
like my ones, so I'll tell you about my ones in a minute.
Yeah. And I mean, forget helicopters and things like that, no sound, anything. Anyway, we were looking at this thing, and another lad came along, and my friend said, "Oh, this kid goes to my school." He said, "He knows all about the stars. We'll ask him, what he thinks." So apparently, he was very keen on astronomy. So anyway, he came up. He was a little bit older than us, and we sort of pointed it out, and he sort of went, "Oh yeah." And then my
Oh
mate
yeah.
said, "Oh yeah." Hey kids, you know. And then my mate said to me, he's a bit strange. He said, "You hold his hand." So I said, "What?" He said, "No, just seriously." He said, "Hold his hand." I put my hand out and held his hand, and it was literally vibrating. Apparently, he could do this deliberately, I think, but he was literally vibrating. It was quite an odd thing to happen, really.
Well,
Again, as a kid, one of those things, you know, another lads. So anyway, that was that. And then where are we? I've actually made some notes, David, to remind me. Went to the first UFO that I really did see. The Colchester group were having a meeting up at Rendlesham Forest, and they asked me if I'd like to go along, and I turned up, and there were, I suppose, about a dozen people, and obviously it's dark night time, and we all got together and we left from Eastgate and started wandering into the forest, middle of the forest, you know, really dark.
hmm. Yeah,
And
I've been there several times in the pitch darkness. It is really dark.
you can't see your hand in front of
No.
your face, can you?
So easy to get lost in the dark in there as well.
I have been lost in the dark. It's a bit scary, to be honest. Brave Dave, you know. But anyways, I heard somebody say, "Hey, look at that." Well, they were pointing towards some trees, and they were about, I suppose, about 40, 50 yards away. And these trees are at the top, I would guess they're about 60 foot high. And I looked up, and there was this white, let's call it an orb, shall we? It was about a bit bigger than maybe a football, and it was quite bright. And as we watched it, it started moving very slowly. It changed color. It went red, moved slightly to the right. This is just above the trees. You know, this is not
Mm.
like in the sky. This is literally just above the trees. And then that turned white again, moved back. It did this about 3 or 4 times, and then it just went gone. Absolutely silent, no sound whatsoever. And that was my first trip to Rendlesham Forest. So, everything always seems to happen to me on the first occasion.
Mm.
But the one thing that I would say on it, and let's get a bit paranormal here because it's my thing, paranoia. is that I was very aware that it was aware of me.
Mm.
It was like a conscious connection, you see. And so anyway, so that was the Rendlesham incident, so to speak. And then a little while after that, I was down with the Essex UFO boys, Mark Dalton, who you've interviewed, and some others. And we went up to where was supposed to be the landing site, the Farmer's Field. And I'm sure you know that one.
Yeah, it didn't
Everybody
land.
knows the Farmer's
Yeah, it
Field.
didn't land there.
Yeah.
That's that story.
Anyway, they stood. It was. I wanted to take a picture, so I aimed the camera and clicked it. Lovely. And when Mark got home and put it on the screen, you could see quite clearly above us one, two, three lights, and you could just make out a triangle. So I'd actually taken a picture there, and you couldn't see it. I didn't see it with my naked eye or anything like that. And there it was.
Mm.
So yeah, that was good. But the best one, in my opinion, because it had to be a UFO. I was with my wife Sue, who you know quite well, and we were camping at Sutton Hoo. Now Sutton Hoo, as you're probably aware again, is very close to Rendlesham Forest,
Mm.
and it was getting dark. In fact, it was almost dark, really, fairly clear sky. And as we were sitting outside and looking at the sky, and all of a sudden, this quite dull light appeared. It wasn't actually moving, it just appeared in this spot in front of me. And then it gradually went brighter and brighter. And then it sort of burst into a really bright light, shrank back down, and you could clearly see a circular object appear. And I didn't see the next part, but Sue did. Her eyes are better than mine. As it shrank down, she said a little object came out of it and flew off.
Really well.
So, as I say, the interesting thing was it didn't fly in, it didn't fly away, it just appeared, brightened up, dulled down, and then dulled down again and vanished. I suppose the whole incident probably took 40, 45 seconds, something like that. And it was literally almost as if to say, well, you're looking in the sky, you might as well have something to watch.
Mm.
That
Mm.
one did convince me because I can't think. Well, I suppose as a critic to say, it could be this, it could be that, but I really have no idea what at all what that was.
Mm.
That really is the extent of my UFO experiences.
No,
What about
but
you, David?
they are important experiences, and especially the one when you were kids as well. I mean,
Oh, that's weird. Yeah,
I before I actually realised it was a UFO that I'd seen, because I told you before, I was actually born and raised in London. I was sitting on my steps. I used to go out in the early evening and start to look up at the stars as though it was just coming out,
yeah.
And all of a sudden I was looking to my left and I started seeing a star moving downwards and then
Ah,
stopping and then
right.
moving and stopping. And of course,
Mm.
as a kid, I'm thinking to myself, well, that's interesting, a star that moves, but I'm talking about late 50s here, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
So obviously there was no such,
It came down, you say?
it was coming. It was well in a downward motion in the
Oh,
sky. I
okay.
mean, it
Yeah.
might have been going across the sky like that, but to my vision, it looked like it was going downwards,
Okay.
in the sky. And and I was watching it for a good half an hour, moving, coming
Oh, a
down,
long one. Yeah.
moving it. Yeah, and then I had to go for my tea, sort of thing, you know. But it was only sort of when I got into my teens and I started thinking, what was that I was actually watching that night? Because there was no such, no satellites and things around. I mean, satellites don't stop and go and all that anyway.
Not in my
It
book.
just looked like a star that was moving and stopping and
Yeah.
moving. But since then, you mentioned Rendlesham. I've actually
Yeah.
seen the same thing happen at Rendlesham as well. There were several of us saw the same thing. Um, Brenda Butler, you've probably heard of her
Oh, I've met
anyway.
Brenda. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Met
met
her a few
Brenda. Well, I
times.
was up there one night with her, with a few other people, and I'm not sure if it was Brenda that mentioned it first, but somebody mentioned it first. They said they saw a star moving and stopping and moving, but it was going acrosswards this time, not
Yeah.
downwards.
Yeah.
And I think, oh, that's interesting. And all of a sudden, another one was doing it as well. So there was
Oh.
two of them moving and stopping and moving and stopping. Now this was actually around about the Eastgate area as well.
Okay.
When you're looking, out towards where the flight line is from the East Gate.
Yeah,
That was over that way.
I know.
Um, it's a possibility it could have been some sort of military planes or something, but it didn't look like it because they don't do that moving and stopping and all that, do they?
No,
You know,
no.
they just look like stars moving and stopping.
Well, as far as we know, they don't go
No,
moving.
that's right. As far as
I
we
mean,
know,
we
they
don't
don't.
know what they've got really. They could be, yeah, anything that we know they've got now, they're probably 20 years in advance.
Yeah, yeah,
And with all the technology and the ability to improve things rapidly these days, computers,
yeah.
who knows? It could be 50 years in advance.
Yeah,
But
but
the limits on your eye.
you mentioned about orbs. I saw a red coloured orb, and Brenda saw it at the same time when we were in the car park area. She went like that, and I went at the same time, and she said, "You saw that, didn't you?" I said, "Yeah, it was like a red orb went across right at the back of the car park type of thing." And so that was another sort of sighting that we both saw at once. There was another time when we were walking down one of the paths. I can't remember what the colour of it was. I think that was like a lot of reddy type pinky or pinky type orb at the top of the trees. It sort of appeared and then sort of just disappeared.
Okay.
So that was an interesting one. But my biggest, most interesting one was in 1967. I was actually coming back from a girlfriend's in Basildon. About probably, I don't know, 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. And going across the night sky was a great big orange oval object
Hmm.
pulsating across the sky.
Oh, that's a real area for seeing UFOs. The amount of people I know that have seen that sort of thing, Basildon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I used to cab drive on Canby Island, and I remember
Oh,
one.
I was living in Basildon actually at the time.
Oh, you were living there?
I was
Okay.
living in Basildon, yeah. When we first moved there, I moved there in '66, I think it was. So it
Mm.
wasn't too long after I'd moved to Basildon.
Well,
But
actually, I can remember a case being reported in the paper of a lad delivering newspapers down
so I'm
Rectory.
looking over it. I'm looking for a book.
A
Go on, carry
book.
on.
Okay.
Yeah, go
Yeah,
on, carry on.
he had a sighting. Yeah, I can tell you when I was taxi driving, when I was about 30, I was sitting on the rank at the haystack on Canby Island.
Oh, yeah.
There's nobody about, no people around. And all of a sudden, one of our cabs comes screeching onto the rank. And I'm, bloody hell, what's going on here? And the driver just sort of sat there staring forward. Well, this is not right. Something's wrong here. So I got out and I opened his cab door and he was still, I said, "Are you okay?" He said, "No, I'm not." I said, "What's the matter?" Well, he was sitting up he'd got a fare over to Basildon from Canby.
Mm.
He was actually sitting there in Burnt Mills Road, just hoping that he might get a fare back, which is
Right.
nice.
Yeah, as you would do. Yeah.
And he's looked into the sky and he's seen this sort of triangle of
I
lights. And
can't
he thought,
find
well,
it.
that's interesting. But when it got a bit hairy, he said it actually started coming down towards him.
Oh,
So
right.
he's like, whoa, he started the
Yeah,
cab up and he's come back about 100 miles an hour.
as you would. Yeah.
And this guy, he was afraid. He was really scared. He's white as a sheet. And what are you looking for, David?
Oh, sorry, it's a book. I mentioned about the orange orbs because I was always wondering what this was I saw. I actually hunted down a book and I can't find the bloody thing. I've got so many books on here, but it was the orange orb invasion. I've got it here somewhere. I can't see it. Right,
And was
somebody.
that around the same time that you had your experience?
No, no, this is an American book, which it tells
Okay.
you about orange orbs that are reports all over the world, sort of thing. So I sort of found this. Yeah, I just sort of I wanted to find. I did a little search looking for orange orb books, and I found
Okay.
this book, and I can't bloody find it. It's on my shelf here somewhere. It's probably looking me right in the eyes, you know.
You
Anyway,
probably
I'll leave
fall.
it there.
You'll
Anyway,
probably fall on your head in a minute.
but on the cover, it's got about six of these orange orbs, and it's identical to just the one that I saw. You know, because
Oh,
they're in
okay.
like a triangular formation on the cover.
Hmm. So
But
they're worldwide, really, then?
if you look at just one of them, yeah, that's the what I saw because it wasn't like a bright light; it was like an incandescent light. You know,
Okay.
it seemed to be all different types of orange.
Ah,
And it was really and it
yeah.
was dead silent. Yeah, but you know that you said that feeling that they knew that you were watching. I had
Yeah,
that feeling with that, and
yeah.
I had a sort of I don't know, sort of a warm feeling from it. It was really strange.
Okay.
It wasn't
Did
like
anything happen after that? Did anything change for you?
it changed me because I think I started thinking, well, because I remember thinking that at that time they do exist. That was what my head that what went through
Well,
my head.
you must have already been interested in those things, yeah?
Not in such a way as that. No, I mean I was. I mean I think we was all interested in ghosts and paranormal, anything like
Well,
that.
for sure. Yeah.
Bigfoot and all that sort of stuff.
Let's go and
But
scare
but
ourselves.
that time, but at that point I was probably not thinking that a lot of those things were real.
Yeah,
But that
yeah,
was the point where I think, well, they do exist. They're here. They really do fly about up there.
yeah. Well, as you know, on the Essex UFO and Paranormal Facebook page, we had so many sightings in the
Hmm.
last 12 months. Totally, I mean, we've been running for a while
Yeah, the
now.
strange thing is I haven't seen anything over the last.
No, I
Maybe I've
haven't.
not been looking. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, so Sue did say to me, "Oh, don't forget to tell Dave about the one at the bungalow." And I wasn't going to mention it because it's a bit, to me, if somebody was sitting there telling me this story, I go, "Oh, yeah, right, okay." I live a bungalow in Great Waker, and it's right next door to the Anchor pub.
Hmm.
And one evening, we were
I,
there.
I know all these sightings all near pubs. Yeah, well, but carry on.
Very funny, very funny. Yeah, that's true, though, isn't it? And anyway, so I went to the back door, and I'm looking up at the sky, and I can see stars, oh, this is a nice evening. And all of a sudden, one of them caught my attention. It would have been probably out over a star over the Thames, very ridiculous to say. It was in a southern area to the south of me. And I was looking at it and I thought, I wonder if it'll move. And it did. It
Really?
started traveling from my left to my right. And I thought, what?
So it was doing what you wanted, basically.
And then it stopped. And I thought, okay, move back. And it did. And I was looking, oh, bloody hell. And then all of a sudden it started coming what appeared towards me. Now at that stage I went back
You
in and
did a
shut the
runner.
back door. But that was quite an extraordinary thing. So I mean we've already touched on the concept of mind to mind connection with these
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean to actually do that and it did move. I mean to me that was quite astounding. I'd forgotten it actually until Sue mentioned it to me because I ran in and said, "Quick, quick, come and have a look at this." Of course, by the time she got there,
Yeah.
it got to its original position and just stayed there. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, on the group page, there was a lady mentioned. Here it is. She said Sharon. She put it on there about 9 hours ago. You remember?
Oh,
You
okay.
read this, didn't you? Um, she introduced herself. She said, "This weekend, while watching a program about aliens, it occurred to me that as some believe these aliens are humans from the future, could it be that there are archaeologists watching and finding out about their past?" I mean, what's your opinion on that?
Well, my opinion is that if there are archaeologists from outer space or wherever, I don't want them digging my garden up. I've just put some cabbages in there, for goodness
Yeah.
sake. Well, I know what she means, and I mean this has been suggested, obviously, previously. A lot of people have suggested that. Is it in fact us from the future coming back to
Mm,
look
mm.
at ourselves? Do you know what?
Who knows? Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? You know, there's so many weird and strange things that have gone on over the years, way beyond the money. You can make a star move. Why can't you say, okay, these?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, she said it could be a totally unrealistic idea, but I think it's got wings. Actually, I think it's a thought. I mean, there's a theory about the famous 1980 Rendlesham forest incident.
Oh yeah,
The,
what's
the
that?
thing the thing that landed in the forest. Jim
Yeah,
Pennister and I talk to quite often. He's the one that's supposed to touch the craft, but he thinks it's actually from the future. It was only because of what the message he was getting downloads from the craft itself. He and Gary Osborne wrote a book called The Rendlesham Enigma, which is volume one of it. I think there's a volume two coming out soon.
okay.
And Gary because as I say, Jim got these downloads, and the downloads that he started writing down ones and zeros in a notebook. I think he got about 16 or 17 pages of these ones and zeros, but he didn't know what they meant. He was a young airman at the time, obviously with the U.S. Air Force, and he thought he was actually going crazy, and he kept it quiet for all those years.
Yeah.
And eventually gave those ones and zeros over to Gary Osborne, who was quite an expert on binary and everything like that, because he does a lot of research with the pyramids and all
Okay.
that sort of stuff and hieroglyphics. And apparently, when he put those ones and zeros together, it actually made sense because it was actually um, locations on Earth,
Was
and
it?
yeah, and that actually made,
Oh, do
and he
tell,
could.
do tell. Where were they?
Well, no, and actually, he couldn't know. Well, that's the big part of the next book that's coming out, apparently.
Ah, right. Okay. Okay.
Right.
So you've got to
So,
wait for the book.
but the thing is, he says that when I had him on well, when I was doing my radio show, I had
Yeah.
Jim and Gary on a couple of times, and Gary said he could not have come up with those locations coordinates is what he called them. They had those coordinates
Okay.
without, back then in 1980 as to what they
Right.
are now, because you can only see now what the results are. If you see what I'm saying.
Okay.
So
How
there's no,
fascinating.
yeah, it's quite very, very interesting.
How
Yeah,
long after the incident did he actually write these
straight away,
books
almost straight
down?
away. He went home basically that night and he was writing his ones and zeros down.
Okay.
He'd already done a
We
little.
wouldn't have known what he was doing, would he? We didn't.
No, he didn't understand. He was about 20, 25, 26, I believe, when he was in the Air Force. He was a sergeant, so he was a highly ranked
Yeah.
a highly ranked airman on the base, which was
Yeah.
dealing with atomic weapons. Although they say they weren't, but they were.
They were. Oh, we all know they were.
But so obviously he was highly respected and all that. And he was, uh, um, yeah. The book's called The Rendlesham Enigma. And I'd really recommend anyone that's interested in the Rendlesham
Okay. Well,
UFO. I think it's probably the best book out there for it.
as we speak, I mean, I really should make more notes and remember, but I knew a guy called Pete Wilshire. I don't know if I've mentioned him to you.
I
And
don't
there
think
is
so.
actually a YouTube, about an hour long interview with Pete.
All right.
And it was a musician and he's played all over the world. I think he did some recordings with people like the Flower Pot Men, when you
All
go to
right.
San Francisco,
Yeah, I know the one. Yeah.
that one, yeah.
That's the only one. I think that's the
What
only
have
one.
people singing, Dave? What do you reckon?
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah.
So,
All you need
anyway,
is a flower pot on your head.
well, the thing is, I got very friendly with him, and by the time I met him, he was probably pushing 70, I would guess. And he told me a story about he was in a German in Germany in an American Air Force base, and he used to play country and western. He loved
Mm.
country and western, and he played this steel guitar that was huge and massive, heavy thing. And anyway, at the break, they sort of did their little 40 minutes gig or whatever. And then they had a break. So, being musicians, first place they go straight to the bar. And he was talking to these American soldiers. And just out of the blue, because he had a little interest in this UFOs because of something that happened to him when he was young. When he was young, here we go again. And he said to this American soldier, "Do you guys ever see any UFOs in the sky?" And he said, as he said it, this soldier's face completely changed. And they all went very quiet. And within about a minute, two big, hefty security men came in. "Come with us, son." Got hold of him, took him outside, took him to this building. That he went into this building and they took him into a lift. And he went down, 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 down. Lift opened and there he is. And there's all people in there and they're all on screens and typing. And he realized years later, because they didn't, well, as far as we know, they didn't exist. He said they must have been computer screens that they were on. And people were walking around like this talking as well,
Mm.
holding things in their hand. And that all sounds crazy, but I'm relating the story. And he will confirm it. Anybody that wants to watch it, it's Pete Wilshire's interview on YouTube. And anyway, so finally they've reached this room and he's been taken into this room and sitting at a desk. He said was a rather elderly looking gentleman, looked as if he's maybe too old to be in the army. but he had all the military and all the egg, scrambled egg, the full Monty, as they say. I said, sit down, son. Now, what's all this about UFOs? And he said, well, I'm interested in UFOs. He said, what you asking questions like that for, boy? He said, well, I just conversation, I see, he said. Well, let me show you something. And with that, a screen's come down, he's gone click. And there's pictures of UFOs taken from American military gun cameras, I think they call them.
Mm.
And they're showing all these movies of UFOs and all that, which you'd think is a bit strange, wouldn't you? So anyway, he clicked it off. He said, there, son, he said, you want to know about UFOs? And he then said to this military guy, why did you show me those? He said, it's all a secret. And the guy just leapt forward and he went, because nobody's going to believe you, boy.
You know what?
He said, and if you ever talk about this ever for the rest of your life, we know where you are.
That's very, very similar to the story that Larry Warren tells in Left at Eastgate.
Exactly.
Did he didn't. Larry Warren didn't get it off of him, did he? Because it sounds so much like it.
Let me explain it to you. I know people not Larry Warren, but to make that association, Dave, is very unfair. Because simple reason was that there's no way in the world that this interview on the TV, he only did it about 5 or 6 years, maybe let's say 10 years ago. As you know, Larry Warren claims like way back in the 80s, doesn't he? To being taken down below the ground. And no, there's no way he got that story.
Well, we've actually proven all that as bullshit anyway. We did a 3-year investigation to Larry Warren. Spoke to a lot of people that knew him, and even spoke to the fireman on the base at the time. There was no such thing as because he'd about to know about it. I actually went to visit him. So,
well, nonetheless, the story about being taken underground. Who knows?
But I mean, obviously, that wasn't the same place, though, was it? That was somewhere else, wasn't it?
No, Larry Warren was at Rendlesham, at Woodbridge or whatever, and Pete Wilshire's one was in Germany.
Right, yeah.
And I sort of my ears prick up a little bit when I hear that sort of coincidence. I think, well, that is coincidental. Okay, Larry may have made it up completely out of the top of his head, but in actual fact, it was going on in other places. Who knows? It's like UFOs all the world over. Who knows,
Yeah. I mean, the amazing thing with the Larry Warren stuff is if you actually read Left at Eastgate, which I've done several times, there's an even bigger UFO event than the Rendlesham Forest incident that he mentions in there, which he just sort of brushes over, which happened in New York when thousands of people apparently were seeing this great big UFO go across the
sky. Over the years, I can remember reading donkeys years ago, and I've never found it since. You know Pitsea well, obviously. You're a local guy. So Pitsea in Essex is down by the Thames for people that know where it is. And I read this report, or I read in a book, a story of people standing at a bus stop and people all over the place. And a massive triangular UFO came out from across the Thames, and it was vast, sort of say 2 football pitches, that sort of thing. In broad daylight, I think. But I've never, ever been able to locate or trace that again. It's really annoying. And I've tried on the internet to find it, but it was in an obscure book many years ago. So chances of finding it probably.
Well, of course, if you look on the internet for that sort of stuff now, you'll find loads of it because there's so much fake stuff out there.
Well, that's another thing now, David. I mean, with AI and everything else, I'm looking at everything now and just thinking,
it's really annoying, actually, a lot of it.
What's the point?
Yeah.
I mean, you get some really good people that think, oh, yeah, I can spot AI here. As it improves more and more,
it's difficult to spot.
It is difficult to spot. And like the rest of the world, it's all fake. A lot of it's fake. A lot of it isn't fake. Yeah. So, yeah. Did you interview the lady from Pentuck? The Welsh lady. There was a case in Wales, wasn't there? An amazing case.
Oh, Pentuck. Yeah, Pentuck. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I probably pronounced it wrongly. Sorry.
Yeah, you've got me thrown now. Yeah, it was. What was it? How did you pronounce it? Yeah, I can't remember. But and also Gary, what was his name as well? There was 2 of them separately involved.
That's right. Yeah. Well, we've soon my wife's here. she's spoken to them on the phone a few times because we actually wanted to get them down to give us a talk uh,
Yeah, I know.
at our
Oh,
club, you see. And she was on the verge of doing it, but then people started having attacking her and all this sort of
that's
thing.
right. Yeah, she's gone very quiet on Facebook and all that
Yeah, I
now.
think she's
But
gone
she has
completely.
got a support group. I'll have to try and find the shows I did. 'Cause I did a couple of shows with her, and she'll tell all the story, all the thing on there. I mean, we did have a bloke at the group, didn't we? Talking about the Penturk. That's what it's
And
called.
Turk.
Event, and he was coming out with all this stuff about calling dad UFOs, and it was all not true. I won't say any more than that.
No, no. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know. I just have an interest in UFOs. What else can I do? I can't catch one in the tiddle and that,
That's
and
right.
I can't get one to land on the lawn in the
Well,
garden.
the thing is, you usually see them when you're not expecting it as well. You know, if you go out searching for them, you probably won't see them. But it just happened. Jill got one night. I mean, Jill got up. You know, wanted to go for a wee as you do sometimes in the night.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
she happened to look over the out the window over there to the house over there, and she saw these triangular lights actually, and it was 3:33 in the morning. Believe it or not, the witching hour. You
Ah,
know,
now
which is
this is an interesting thing. Sue said to me, "All this 3:30 thing in the morning, that's great. What happens when you change over to summertime or what have you? Is it still 3:33
still
o'clock?
must still be 3:33. I don't know. I
Or is
really
it
don't know.
4:33?
I
Or
mean, it's
two?
only at the end of the day, there's no such thing as 3:33. It's only a thing we use as a measurement, isn't it? We think about
Well, yeah, I know what you mean.
it.
Yeah, there's no such thing as time. Yeah, so, how did she feel about that?
Oh,
I
I said, why didn't you wake me up? And she said, well, it was gone by the time I was sort of, it only lasted a couple of seconds. She just happened to,
haven't-
what she said, she doesn't normally look out the window, but she just happened to look out the window this night, so something must have drawn her to it. But
yeah.
I got her to draw me a picture of it the next morning. I said, write down what time it was and draw me a picture. Because actually said, well, what she actually said was, it was, I said, what time was it? And she said it was 3:31. I said, okay, you sure it was 3:31? She said, yeah, I think so. I'll go and check the clock. But when she looked at that clock and that clock, this clock said 3:30. It was a little bit out. So in actual
Ah,
fact, we worked out it was actually 3:33 she saw it.
ah. There's so many things you hear about this 3:33 in the morning.
Yeah.
What do you think's going on there then?
I've got absolutely no idea. It's supposed to be a satanic number of some sort, and like all the threes, the 33 and everything.
Hmm.
But I can't really profess that I know a lot about it. But it just seems to be a strange number. It's like 22. They're all like they've got satanic meanings. I'll have to do a little bit more research into that. Actually, it's an
Yeah. Well,
interesting concept.
could have been 666, couldn't
And
it? Oh no, hang on,
666,
that
no
wouldn't work.
66.
What am I saying? This shows you my idea of time. Not very good at all. Not very good
But
at
no, it's
all.
interesting. But
It
one
is.
day when we was coming back with the dogs, actually, it was now this was early in the morning. We saw, was it just one light? I think it was just one light going across the, and this is early in the morning. It was daylight, but we don't know what that was 'cause it was sort of shining, and it
Hmm.
was going sort of a funny little movements in the sky. So it
Yeah.
wasn't an aeroplane,
And the
but
other thing is, there's such a variety of these things, so many different
yeah.
types. Yeah, you got plasma ones, you got metal looking ones,
And
you've got
also, we've also got the problem of drones nowadays. People fly drones around a lot, so you don't know what if you're seeing something that's just a man-made drone flying about.
or airship or what have you. I mean, it
Yeah,
all seems very
there's
easy to make. I mean, I was on a train going down to London on the Fenchurch Street line, and I looked at again across the Thames. The Thames seems to be, and I could see two brilliant light,
white
red
bright.
lights going along, and they were heading, down the river sort of thing. And I was just looking at them, they caught my attention. And it wasn't until they'd gone, I suddenly thought, hang on, this is a brilliant sunny day, as bright as you can get. The sun's in the south, which is where they were. How many airplane lights can you see in that sort of light? I'll tell you what, you try it, you won't see any.
Hmm.
Won't see them. So it didn't strike me until afterwards that this was kind of an odd event, seeing these red
Mm.
lights.
They're
But
often seen over water as well, a lot, aren't
over water, taking water on board, all that sort of a thing, yeah. And I think sort of places like they like a good power station.
they? Mm.
Um, yeah, I mean, if anybody, I mean, to me, the best guy I read is Jacques Vallée, and to me, he's a great authority on these things because he also links them in with the paranormal, which is, is more my
There's
thing.
definitely a connection. I mean, yeah, a few years ago, I couldn't see any connections between UFOs and ghosts and, and other paranormal stuff. But I think a lot of it's all joined. A lot
But
of it's
when you see
connected.
the effect that they have on some people,
Mm.
people UFO counters, that
Yeah.
knocks them out, and suddenly they're great healers, or
Mm.
they're getting input on whatever, mediumship, so they get mediumistic,
Mm.
all sorts of. But other people, suddenly they become ill.
Mm.
Who makes the choice?
Mm.
What the heck is this? It's such a mixed bag. It's such a
Mm.
mixed bag. In the end, I almost feel like just switching it off and saying,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah,
I mean, also, what now we're doing this little chat on the same day as it's Eric Von Daniken's 90th birthday today. So
oh,
if you're watching, Eric, which I doubt, happy birthday. But no, it was Eric Von Daniken that really got me into this. The Chariots of the Gods, because I remember back in 1966, I think it was. It might have been. There was on the Sunday newspaper. My dad used to buy it. There's stuff. It was a Sunday Mirror or something. They started putting the Chariots of the God or bits of the Chariots of the Gods books in it, and
oh,
I started
okay.
getting hooked on all that, and I wanted to get the book and all that. And I mean, Eric von Däniken was always kind of I don't like to use the word hero, but somebody I appreciated over the years.
Yeah.
And I've really, just a few years ago, 2015, 16 or whatever it was, I actually got to meet him for the first time. And since then, I've met him a few times, which is quite amazing, really, to me.
Well, I think I read that book when it came out, actually.
Yeah, I did. I rushed as soon as it came out. I sort of
And
scrapped
who
me.
was the other guy? Eric von Daniken. Was it Adamski?
George Adamski, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people were saying he was a fraud anyway, but I used to buy the old American. I used to get every UFO book I could see actually, um, when I was a teenager.
People will also always say that everyone's a fraud.
Mm,
I ask myself, well, what is your expertise to make that declaration that this
yeah,
person's a fraud? I
I've
mean,
got.
if you remember, there's an odd thing to do with Adamski as well, that a different Adamski guy was at home with his wife, and he said he's popping out the old usual, going out for a packet of cigarettes, and he disappeared completely
George Adamski.
inside the spaceships. Look at, oh, there you go. What you must know about the other Adamski guy, the same name, that he
That's
disappeared completely, and then he was
Flying
found
Saucers
on
of
top
Landed,
of
the
a,
old classic.
oh, right, oh. He
But
was found on
yeah,
top of a coal heap.
you mean Travis Walton talking about?
I was talking about George Adamski. And there was
Oh,
another man by the name of Adamski, and quite strangely, he was indoors with his wife and said, I'm just going to pop out and buy some cigarettes. He never came back. She launched an inquiry, obviously, with the police. The police
mm,
looked everywhere, couldn't find him. I don't know if it was a day later, 2 days later, or whatever, over a coal yard or something. It was a great big pile of coal, and he was found on top of it. So you've got Adamski, the book writer, and Adamski found in really mysterious
oh, right,
circumstances.
let's have a look at that. I don't know about that.
Oh yeah, and those are the things that really interest me. Call it coincidence, but what a coincidence!
Yeah,
What a
that's
way to
all.
be found, and what the heck happened there?
Yeah. Well, whether
Yeah,
there's
I
any
thought
connection.
everybody knew about that.
No, no, I don't know if there's any connection to it, but I should have to have a little look into that. It's interesting.
Yeah, see,
But oh yeah, as far as the group goes, we've got a couple of really good UFO speakers coming up, haven't we?
we
Uh,
have. Yep, yep.
we've got Dave Hodrian coming up for June. Now, Dave Hodrian runs the BUFOG, which is the Birmingham UFO group,
Oh, okay.
uh,
Well, we've all
and
heard of those, obviously.
he's had quite a few experiences of his own. He's done a lot of research of his own.
Okay,
And then in July we've got who Darren Cooper,
okay,
who was due to talk in May, was it?
right.
Was it
I
May? Yeah, I
believe
think
it's me.
it
Yeah.
was May, but he wasn't very well, so we got Bill to stand in for him, didn't we? So, but Darren will be talking in July. So we've
Okay.
got that to look forward to. And so if you're interested in UFOs, anyone watching this out here, come to the
Yeah.
meetings on the first
And our
Friday
next one,
of
of
every
course,
month.
is past life experiences, isn't it?
Yes, that's another brilliant
That
one.
should be very good. And that's on the first Friday, yeah, first Friday in
Yeah,
May
first Friday in May, which is
at
what
the
is it? That
Balmoral Hall, Westcliff.
that's actually the third. No, sorry, the second. Second of
Okay.
May. Paul Goddard, that is. He's a
All
very,
right.
very well known past life regression expert, and
Yeah,
it
yeah,
should be fascinating.
it
There's
was. I mean,
there's
we've
a
had some really top speakers down, you know.
mm,
We get people come from all over the place, traveling quite a distance to come
yeah.
to some of
Well,
the
Paul's
speakers.
coming down from Gloucestershire, so as well. So that's quite
Oh,
a
okay.
bit of a
Yeah.
trot for him.
Yeah, I mean, one person we had, who was it? Oh, crikey, Sue, who was that?
Was it Richard? Someone came from Wales.
Oh, yeah, Richard Voves. I like Richard very much indeed.
Yeah, he's
Some
speaking
people
again
came
in
all the way over.
September, isn't he?
Some people came all the way over from Wales to see him.
Yeah, yeah.
And we've got, as you know, we've got him, Richard. We like to get him down once a year.
Yeah,
And
September, I think he's booked for.
yeah, yeah, he's just brilliant. His suitcase routine. Have you seen his suitcase?
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Oh, he's a very clever man actually, because he used to be a stunt man in the circus and all these sorts of things. And a
You
very
wouldn't think so to look at him, would you?
not really, but I think he's one of these people you can't really. I think he'll have a go at anything. You know,
Mm.
he'll try anything once.
Yeah, we don't know what he's talking about on this occasion, do we?
Well, whatever's going on at the
Because
time,
it's
really.
not quite paranormal, is it? But I suppose he does go
No,
into that type of area.
no,
It
he's
can,
not paranormal, not into the paranormal. No. I've never had an in-depth discussion one-to-one with him on the subject at all, really. Um, you know, when we meet him and he comes down, we normally take him out for a meal and that sort of
yeah.
thing.
I'm just wondering what to title that actual show. So I'll give that some thought.
Oh, I've no idea.
I got in
Um,
touch with him a couple of days ago, wasn't it?
okay, I'm being spoken to him. I don't
I know you got.
back anyway. Yeah, we actually spoke to Richard just a couple of days ago because we were thinking about having a sort of a mini conference, you know, on a weekend
Mm,
because they had booked Glastonbury Town Hall to give a talk on various subjects, but apparently the local council they
pulled the
weren't
plug.
to their liking, so they said, "Oh, sorry, you know, you can't do that. We're booked already." Blah blah.
Yeah,
Usual story, you know. And so the whole thing was called off.
yeah. Because Mark Devlin's another one, I think, isn't he? I think
Yeah,
who's on that lot.
and the lady, the woman, I can't think of her name now, but she's very good at bringing counsellors down to size,
Mm.
which they don't like very much, do they? Yeah. So anyway, there you are. I think I've run through all of my UFO.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't obviously gone into any great depth, but our own experiences, I hope people have found a little bit interesting. Um, Obviously, we hope to look forward to seeing people again at the next meeting, which is in just a couple of weeks now, isn't it? Again,
Not that long, yeah.
was it May the second? Didn't it with Paul Goddard? That's what
All
as
gone.
we said just now, which I'd just forgotten about.
Well, also announced that we also do the best chocolate biscuits of any
We
meat
do,
in
yeah,
the country.
and the best selection of coffee you'll find anywhere.
Well, in actual fact, we made a mistake at the last meeting. Somebody came up and said, "Oh, you know, you've got that. Is it Bouvard milk or something?"
Oh, right. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, that milk
yeah.
everyone's been talking about. Yeah,
I don't know much about it, but apparently it wasn't the thing to have Bouvard milk or whatever. But anyway, we'll check that it isn't next time. We don't want people. I don't even know what it's supposed to do.
yeah. It's
But
supposed to have some stuff in it. I don't know. I don't know if it's true or not, but I've heard the stories, and I've got to say, I wouldn't buy it. I think it's dearer than the other normal milk as well, isn't it?
quite likely, I got it in Waitrose.
Yeah,
Everything's
it's probably
dearer in
right.
there.
Yeah, no, because I think I did actually look at the prices in Iceland. I saw a bottle of that, but it was about £2.50 or something, when the
Oh
other
yeah.
one was about £1.10.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. So if you want something nasty, you've got to pay for it.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
pretty soon you're paying for jabs. Oh, shouldn't have said
Oh
that.
dear,
Shouldn't
no,
have
you
said
shouldn't
that.
say
Sorry about that.
that. Yeah,
Edit that.
they're only £100, aren't they now?
Uh, yeah,
Taking
no
you for a mug
problem.
as well. Apart from trying
Yeah,
to do away with
yeah,
you. Anyway, Dave, thanks for talking. It's been
yeah.
nice talking to you. We'll no doubt we'll have to do it again at some time because we've only sort of just brushed into
I would like
UFOs.
next time to speak on magic.
Magic, yeah, we can do
Magic.
that. We'll have
Yeah.
to. I mean, we've got talking about magic. We've got Spiros Molaris coming in December.
Who?
Spiros Molaris.
Oh, Spiros. No, not that sort of magic.
He does some good magic, but he'll be talking about the paranormal and magic.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I
Well,
mean you're talking about real magic. I know,
I'm talking about real magic. Yeah.
but he does good. He does some good magic that looks
Ah,
real
he's
as well.
brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant, brilliant, Spiros, isn't he?
Yeah.
And the
Any,
amazing thing is that he made that alien autopsy film.
oh yeah, this.
He's told everybody that it's fake,
Yeah,
how he made it, and everything else.
yeah.
And people still say,
Oh yeah, I
"No,
still
no,
think
he's
it's
lying.
real.
That was a real." And it was him that made the
You've only
film.
got to see his massive book to where it shows you how it's all been done and the films and amount of
Yeah,
films he's done, and,
I know.
and you
What do
still got
you?
people saying he's a man in black and all that working for the CIA and everything.
Oh,
It's
where do they
absolute.
get his ideas from? Madness, madness, man. I
But
mean,
well,
yeah,
I am
okay.
hoping at some point, and he says it should happen,
Yeah.
that it's going to be done, made into a main, sort of main movie, which will make it'll
Oh,
make a
that would
fantastic
be
movie.
okay. That'll
Uh,
be perhaps he'll launch it on a Friday evening at our club. No, I don't think.
yeah,
Are you still going to be filming people's talks at the club, by the way,
yeah,
David?
yeah. We'll be filming Paul Goddard next time. I
Okay.
didn't, I didn't do it for Bill because it was in case personal stuff came up,
Oh, you can't.
and it's
He
not
was
for
stunningly brilliant,
yeah.
wasn't
But
he?
when
Bill?
someone's doing
Oh,
an actual talk, that's different.
do you know, I
Um,
thought that was one of the best demonstrations of mediumship, and I've been to a lot. One of the
yeah,
best
he's
I've
very
ever
good.
seen.
Yeah.
That was stunningly. And the guy in front of me, he come all the way down from London, and he's never seen a medium before. This is at the meeting.
Mm,
And his mouth drops open, and he's turning to me going, "How does he know this? How
mm,
can he know this? Does he know this?" I
mm,
said, "He doesn't know anybody."
yeah.
But he was totally dumbfounded. I was just totally impressed. I thought he was stunning. First and second names, and the nice thing about the way that Bill works in a way is that he's blunt, he's straightforward, and he says it the way that it is. But he's quite clever because he can say it in a way to people that you don't really get what he's talking about, but they do. You
Yeah,
can see that they do. I mean,
yeah.
that is clever
And
mediumship.
no doubt he'll be coming back again at some point because
I
he's
hope
always
so.
a good stand-in, isn't he? If we can get him, if
Oh,
somebody
he's
can't
certainly
make it.
standing. I
So
like him up there as the main man,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah. No, I
But
agree.
he's not a well man. He's had a few heart
No, that's right.
problems, things like that. And but yeah, he's just a genuine, straightforward guy. I wish I had his gift for mediumship. Well, do I?
Mm,
No,
don't we all?
he's probably well, yeah, yeah. I don't think I'd want to do what he does. He's got to travel all over the place.
He does get about. I mean, he had done a talk the night before, hadn't he? In I don't know, it was Brentwood or somewhere. I think it was.
Yeah. In actual fact, we were very lucky to get him on 2 days' notice
Mm,
because the evening that we wanted him, he had two private book readings booked in, which is how he earns his living, is on the private readings,
mm,
obviously. And he actually moved those appointments so that he could come to our place because I think he actually enjoys coming down.
yeah,
He
yeah.
gets a good audience, quite receptive. And I think a lot of them know Bill, obviously. And mate, as I say, I think that was one of the best demonstrations of mediumship I've ever seen.
It
But
was good.
isn't
Yeah.
the Egyptian lady that we're getting on
Indigo. Yeah.
Indigo
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 Phoenix. She's
Phoenix?
booked for August. Now
She
she
does
was
all that,
booked
doesn't
for.
she?
She's she's amazing actually. For she does an awful lot of stuff that she does it international, all over the world. She does. I mean, she's been to Egypt, South Africa, and all that just recently. She's been doing like a whirlwind tour. I don't know what she's been up to, but
Well, lovely, nice little way. We seem to have gone way beyond this 45 minutes,
yeah,
David.
yeah. Well, I think we better shut it down now in case it pops off. So
Okay.
anyway, it's been great talking to you, Dave, and thanks
Always
everyone for
enjoy.
listening. And
Yep.
we'll see you all at the next event. hopefully.
Who are you interviewing next?
What on this?
Yeah.
I have no idea
Oh, okay.
at this present time.
All right. You'll find somebody.
We'll have
Okay.
somebody, even if we
All
do a
very
volume
good.
2 of this. But anyway, all right. See you then, Dave.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Well, maybe we'll get Sue on next time.
Absolutely.
I know.
She just pulled a really big face about that. No. No, she's not up for that. But
No,
you
all right.
never
That's all right. I understand. I couldn't get Jill on
know.
her either. All right. See you, everybody. Thanks for
I
listening.
like the joke for me.
Cheers. Bye bye.
Bye-bye, mate.
Right. I couldn't end this without finding that book that you saw me hunting around for earlier during the show. There it is. It's Terry Ray, and it's a complete story of the worldwide invasion of the Orange Orbs. I think this is quite a rare book now because I had to search it out at the time. And you see those orbs that's like I saw going across the sky. Just one of those, not like a whole batch of them like that. So it's very, very similar. That's why I wanted to search out this book. It actually talks about lots of those types of reports all over the world, to be honest. It's worth trying to find it if you can. I was lucky enough to I tracked Terry Ray down, and when I was doing my radio show, I actually had him on the show. So I have to try and find that recording if people are interested in having a listen to it. Something else I was talking about during the talk with Dave was the Rendlesham Enigma, and that's the book with Jim Penniston and Gary Osborne. Now, anyone who's interested in the RFI, which is the Rendlesham Forest Incident from 1980, that is probably the best book on the market. It's a massive book. It's about nearly 900 pages, I think. What is it? No, these 700 pages? But it's actually cram packed with minute by minute of the event. It actually follows everything second by second almost, and it's a brilliant book. So I'd highly recommend that. You can get it on Kindle as well, apparently. But there you go. So that's those two. I thought I'd just have to clear those up before we shut down on this video. So see you in the next meeting. All right. Cheers, everyone. Bye bye.